Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa podcast. I'm your host, Samit Paul, and apologies first off for the delay in getting this episode out. As gutted as I was on Wednesday night, I haven't been sulking for the past 48 hours, I can assure you. But we are here now, and unfortunately, we're looking back at a bitterly disappointing 4-1 defeat for Villa against Chelsea. Now, it all started pretty well. I thought we had an energetic and lively Villa took the lead after just 3 minutes in what was a crunch showdown in the race for Champions League football. But things pretty much started to go downhill from that point onwards. Now, as with every game, I'll be discussing my 5 key talking points as we have a deeper dive into our defeat to Chelsea. But first, let's have a listen to the boss, Unai Emery, and his thoughts on the game as he spoke to Villa TV.
Good evening. And now is the moment we can speak about how we are. We are in bad moment, and we need to work to recover again our structure tactically. Defensive, offensively, try to get comfortable each one with their task and recover, work in a training session and trying to get our structure again strong. And today we faced Chelsea. They showed their capacity, they showed their power, they showed today deserving to win the match we did. Of course, we did the first half, I think, competing very well, and we were winning. Then the draw, we scored a second goal, but refused it a VAR. And of course, was so tight the match in the first half. But the second half, when they scored the second and third goal, was completely different, and as well, they played a very good match. But this team is still being behind us, and it's because in 29 matches we are being consistent. We are in bad moment, and we must recover because we are losing the advantage we had, and something we were deserving, now progressively we are losing. Still time to do, still time to work, still time to build again our structure as strong as possible and feel confidence individually and collectively there and compete Europe League and the Premier League. And today they were better than us, and congratulations Chelsea. But 29 matches, still 3 points different between them and us. We are losing it, but we must try to keep it.
That was Unai Emery speaking to Villa TV after our 4-1 defeat to Chelsea. So on to my 5 key talking points then, and let's start with how Villa finally changed approach, but we subsequently lost our structure and balance. Now, it's been a difficult watch for me in recent weeks as I thought Villa have lacked intensity, we've lacked tempo, and we've become very slow and very predictable as we've desperately struggled to break teams down. So I thought it was quite encouraging to see us start really positively against Chelsea. I thought we pressed higher up the pitch, we looked to put the pressure on them, get on the front foot as much as possible, and that paid dividends with the early breakthrough with Douglas Luiz giving us the lead. However, with that must come a balance. Now, particularly depending on the opposition, I thought Chelsea started to show signs of their ability to play their way out of that pressure in their own half of the pitch, and it became apparent that we not only didn't have the personnel to maintain that press effectively enough, but we lost our way with it and we left ourselves badly exposed at the back. Now, Emery's switching approach has created other problems in some sort of twisted version of tactical whack-a-mole. So what I felt might be a solution for us in terms of being more positive, getting those energy levels back up, pressing higher up the pitch and putting pressure on, getting on the front foot rather than sort of playing this methodical, controlled style of play, which in fairness has brought us a lot of success over the last 3 years. This now has created more headaches. Now Emery's sort of lost in between in terms of what's too slow and what's too predictable and what's too fast-paced and is just too erratic that exposes our defensive vulnerabilities. So that's going to be a really important decision for Emery moving forward now. The second point is whether or not Emery's stubbornness is costing us, or is he right to continue to show so much faith? Now, it's fair to say that our starting lineup was not met with universal approval before kickoff. I thought there were certain individuals who were decisive early on, who were perhaps sort of the question marks were hovering over them. But by the time the final whistle sounded, I thought many would have likely felt that their reservations over the lineup were justified. Now, we've seen Emery is very loyal and he seemingly has unwavering faith in his players. We saw that earlier in the season with Morgan Rogers. While many of us perhaps thought that Rogers needed to be taken out of the firing line and given a break to kind of regroup and reset himself, Emery was like, no, I'm going to play him through this difficult time and he's going to come out at the other end and he's going to be a better player for it. And to be fair, that worked at the time. But I think his desire to see certain other individuals play their way out of bad form, although it's produced positive results in the past, I think it's not working this time round. So the question is he pushing it too far? When the team fails as a collective, like we did on Wednesday night against Chelsea, I feel that it's a little bit harsh to start singling out individuals for criticism. But I think it's Emery's stubbornness in continuing to start players who are either out of form or are his tried and trusted who are ultimately costing us. Now, that's not a direct sort of criticism of Emery, and I'm not going to start going over the top and calling for his head and stuff like this. It's just an observation and a criticism, in my opinion, that he's showing too much faith in certain players who shouldn't really be in the starting lineup. Now, I get it. We are limited with our injuries, but that's in midfield. There's still decisions that he's making in defence and up front. So let's just name names. Tyrone Mings at the back and Ollie Watkins up top. You got Emi Buendia struggling as well. Leon Bailey with the assist for the goal in a way, and Watkins was instrumental in that as well. But there's certain individuals that I think we all know who are just struggling for form or just not quite at it to the level that we need them to be. So I think it's important that we sort of take them out of the team and get other players in. Pau Torres should be starting this game every day of the week for me. I thought Tammy Abraham should have started this one as well, and I would have made an argument for Ross Barkley and Jadon Sancho as well. So these are the decisions that Emery's got to get right, and at the moment we're in a massive slump and we've got 2 more crunch games coming up next. So again, another big decision for him to make moving forward. On to the third point, and that is our high line being badly exposed and having no solution out wide. Now, it was such a key strength of ours in the past. Our high line was a mess in this game as we were picked off time and time again, including in the lead up to the goals. Now, we also had no answer in wide areas as Chelsea attacked our fullbacks consistently, exposed the space that was left behind and the disorganisation within our back four. And it was just too easy for them. And bizarrely, the worst thing I think was that we just never seemed to figure it out at any stage, either in our attempts to stop them going over the top with the high line or out wide in 1v1 situations with Garnacho in particular, causing Cash and Bogard lots of problems. Now, Matty Cash picked up a calf injury in the first half and had to come off at half time. The suggestion since then is that the scans have shown that it's not serious and that he should be fit to face Lille next week. So hopefully that is the case. But Emery's got to be concerned by our defensive frailties in this game, and he may well question whether or not he can adopt the same approach again moving forward. And I think, again, like I say, Pau Torres, he and Ezri Konsa was so critical to the half line being so effective previously. The organisation that they had between the two of them was absolutely critical for it to work. And I just thought we were all over the place in this game. And that's not, on this occasion, that's not singling out Tyrone Mings for criticism. I thought Ezri Konsa was poor in this one. I think, I can't recall now whether it was the first goal, the equaliser, but not only did he play a Chelsea player on the side, but then he lost João Pedro running in front of him. It wasn't like a clever run off the back of him and coming inside. João Pedro was literally in front of him the whole way from his deep run, and Conte didn't pick him up or get in front of him to stop that danger. So really poor defensively, and we got really badly exposed in this one. On to the fourth point, and that is the VAR frustration and no luck with decisions. Now, I rarely bother discussing refereeing decisions or VAR interventions because ultimately I just feel there's nothing that can be changed, and you'd hope that on balance we'd get our fair share of outcomes that go our way over the course of the season. But I think this was yet another example of how fractions are costing us and not only ruining what I'm sure was a great watch for the neutral, because I thought it was a really entertaining game if you take the sort of Villa bias away from it. But it turned the game away from us, and it continues to raise doubts and cause frustration as many have questioned the application of VAR again in this game. Now, it's all ifs and buts, but had Ollie Watkins' goal counted, that would have been a huge, huge moment in this contest. We'd have gone 2-1 up, and for him personally, the way that he's struggling in front of goal right now, that would have been a massive, massive moment for him. Instead, it's ruled off by a painfully small margin. That deflation from that point onwards, I felt was significant in the way the context of how this game went on to play out. And so again, like I say, I don't really like going on about refereeing decisions and officials, but they are costing us, and they definitely did cost us in this one. And yes, you can say that they reached the right decision by the letter of the law and all that malarkey, but it's really, really frustrating to see that we're just not getting the rub of the green with the decisions through the course of this season. So the fifth and final point is what now for Villa? Now, our room for error in the Premier League has almost entirely been wiped out, as we've now got a 3-point advantage over Chelsea and Liverpool with 9 games remaining. So it really is now a case of now or never for Villa. First and foremost, it's going to be a massive test of character to see if this group has got the ability to stop this slide, get back on track, and particularly we're still missing John McGinn, Yuri Tielemans, Boubacar Kamara. So we've got to find solutions without them until they come back. Now, there's good news in the sense that it's been reported that McGinn is hopeful of being back in the squad next week. I don't know whether that was intended to mean in the group training at Bodymore Heath or in the actual matchday squad against Lille or Manchester United. But either way, that is positive that he's getting close to sort of stepping up his recovery and being back in contention. Yuri Tielemans is still weeks away, so we've got to find a solution without him. And as I said earlier, it doesn't get any easier. Lille and Manchester United both away in our next 2 fixtures across the Europa League and Premier League respectively. So what does Emery do? Does he go back to basics? Does he look to shut up shop? Does he play counter-attacking football? Does he resort back to the slow, methodical, patient, calm way of playing, controlling tempo at a slower pace, killing the game and sort of picking our spots where we attack and try and find that bit of quality in the final third to make the difference? Does he persist with the high energy and high tempo style that we saw on Wednesday night? Was it a case of, yes, this was the right approach, but we didn't apply it properly? Can he find a balance between the two that suits the structure and the brand that he's built? And importantly, can the players execute that version of it? Now, we've got a week to prepare for Lille. And although time might be on our sides, that gives us a chance to recover, reset, regroup. The pressure's building, and we've got to find answers to these questions sooner rather than later. Because if we get found out away at Lille, get found out away at Manchester United, within a week, our European aspirations could be in tatters. And Premier League-wise, the race for the top 5 could be turned upside down, and we could be chasing rather than trying to hold on to something which potentially might suit us better in terms of pressure, but you'd rather have the advantage than not. So it's a really critical week, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the solutions are and how they're applied, and whether or not they're successful in doing that. So what were your talking points from our defeat to Chelsea? Do you share my thoughts, or do you disagree with any of the points that I've made? Let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on YouTube, leave your comments below. For those listening to the pod via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other means, head over to talkvilla.substack.com and get involved in the conversation over there. Or if you want more news during the week, go to talk-villa.com for all the latest transfer, injury, and all the rest of the news concerning the club. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Talk Villa podcast. I want to say a big thank you for taking the time to have a listen. As always, please do subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, give the episode a like where relevant, or leave a positive review if you've enjoyed what you've listened to. Sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack for ad-free Villa news, opinions and analysis, which is all delivered directly to you. And there is also an option of a paid subscription for bonus content. All the details will be in the description of this podcast, but for more, please go to talkvilla.substack.com and subscribe. So unfortunately, Villa slip up yet again as our slump in form continues. We've got time, as I said now before, we're back in action against Lille next week, but time is great, but unless we start finding answers and deliver on the pitch, it's hard to see how this dip ends at the moment. Hopefully there is better news on the injury front coming, and Emery and the players have time to respond positively and give it one final push at the end stretch of the season with 9 games left in the Premier League, and obviously hopefully many more in our Europa League journey as well. I'll be back after the Lille game next Thursday, but until then, up the Villa.